The observation deck of the Galactic Coalition training facility hummed with the usual mixture of languages and frequencies. Commander Zixter of the Krellian Empire stood with 3 other species representatives, all watching the human contingent through the reinforced viewing glass. His chitinous plates clicked together in what might have been confusion or concern. "They're doing it again," whispered Councillor Vrie, her blue luminescent skin pulsing with anxiety. The Aurelian diplomat had spent 2 cycles trying to understand the human soldiers, and she was no closer to comprehension than when they'd first arrived. Below them, in the training arena, Helen Rodriguez moved with fluid grace across the padded floor. Her opponent, Derek Chen, circled her with equal caution. Both wore simple training uniforms, and more importantly, both were completely unarmed. "Why don't they have weapons?" Zixter demanded, his translator implants struggling with his species' clicking language. "This is a combat training facility. We provided them access to plasma rifles, particle accelerators, neural disruptors, everything." "They requested none of it," replied Administrator Quinn, the facility's logistics officer. His tentacles writhed in agitation. For this particular session, they said they needed only the empty room and padded flooring. On the arena floor, Helen suddenly lunged forward. Her movement was explosive and precise. Derek attempted to sidestep, but Helen's leg swept out, hooking behind his knee. In less than 2 seconds, Derek was on his back with Helen's forearm pressed against his throat. The aliens watching collectively recoiled. "She's killing him," Vrie gasped, her skin flashing red with alarm. "No, look." Zixter's optical sensors focused more intently. "He's signaling," tapping her arm. Helen immediately released Derek and helped him to his feet. Both humans were smiling, even laughing. Derek said something that made Helen punch his shoulder playfully before they reset their positions and began circling again. "I don't understand," Quinn admitted, his tentacles now forming a shape that indicated deep confusion. "Why train to fight without weapons? What's the point when we have technology that can eliminate threats from 3 star systems away?" A 4th voice entered the conversation. Captain Tamora, a veteran of the Coalition's defense force, had served longer than most of the observers had been alive. Her scaled face remained impassive, but her eyes tracked every movement below with professional interest. "Because humans don't assume they'll always have weapons," Tamora said quietly. The other aliens turned to stare at her. "Every species in the Coalition," Tamora continued, "assumes that advanced soldiers mean advanced weapons. Our warriors are extensions of our technology. But look at them." She gestured at the arena where Derek had now gotten Helen in some sort of joint lock, only for Helen to twist in an impossible-looking manner and reverse the hold entirely. "They're training to be weapons themselves." "Barbaric," Zixter muttered, though there was a note of uncertainty in his voice. "Is it?" Tamara challenged. "Last rotation, there was an incident on mining station Zetanine. Contraband smugglers used an electromagnetic pulse that disabled all weapons systems. The station's security force, Grellians, Aurelians, and my own people were helpless. 3 humans working in the maintenance crew subdued 15 armed smugglers using only their bodies." Vrie's skin had returned to a healthier blue, but she still looked disturbed. "How is that even possible? Humans aren't particularly large or strong compared to most species." "No," Tamara agreed, "but they've spent thousands of their years perfecting the art of fighting without weapons. They have dozens of distinct martial disciplines, hundreds of variations. Each one teaches how to use leverage, momentum, anatomy against an opponent." Down below, the training session had intensified. Helen and Derek were now moving faster, their strikes and blocks flowing together in what almost looked like a violent dance. A punch was deflected, turned into a wristlock, which Derek escaped by rolling forward and sweeping Helen's legs. She jumped over the sweep, landed, and immediately countered with a rapid combination of strikes that Derek barely managed to block. "They train against each other constantly," Tamara explained. "Not just to wound, but to submit, to control, to non-lethally neutralize. Watch how he's positioning his body to minimize damage even as he attacks, and see how she's maintaining awareness of her surroundings even in close combat." Administrator Quinn's tentacles had gone completely stiller, sign of deep thought in his species. "The Coalition military doctrine is built entirely around our technology. If our weapons fail, we're trained to retreat and wait for support. Humans are trained to adapt," Tamora said. "I've read their military history. They've fought wars with everything from throne stones to antimatter bombs. But throughout all of it, they never stopped training to fight with their bare hands. They call it hand-to-hand combat or martial arts. Some of their disciplines are older than most Coalition members' recorded histories. Zixter's plates had stopped clicking. He watched as Derek attempted a complex throw, only for Helen to somehow use his momentum against him, resulting in both of them tumbling to the ground in a controlled roll. They separated, both breathing hard, both still smiling. "It's not just about fighting, is it?" Zixter asked slowly. "No," Tamora confirmed. "It's about discipline, control, physical fitness, mental fortitude. They're training their bodies and minds simultaneously, making themselves more resilient, more capable. When a human says they're unarmed, they're technically lying. They're never truly unarmed." Counselor Vree stepped closer to the glass, her earlier fear replaced by fascination. "We've been trying to integrate humans into coalition forces for 3 cycles now. We keep offering them our weapons, technology, our combat systems, and they keep accepting them gratefully," Tamora nodded. "But they also keep doing this, because to them, weapons are tools, extremely useful tools, but tools nonetheless. They can be lost, broken, disabled. The weapon that is their own body, that goes wherever they go." Below, the training session was concluding. Helen and Derek bowed to each other in a gesture of respect that seemed universal despite their alien observers. Both were covered in sweat, breathing heavily, but they moved to the side of the arena where a group of other human soldiers waited their turn. "How many of them train like this?" Quinn asked. "All of them," Tamora replied. "Every human soldier, regardless of their specialty. Pilots, engineers, medics, all of them spend hours every week training to fight without weapons." Zixter turned away from the window, his posture suggesting a decision had been made. "I want to learn," he announced. The other aliens stared at him in shock. "Commander, your species doesn't have the appropriate skeletal structure for VI began. "Then I'll learn what I can adapt," Zixter interrupted. "Captain Tamora is right. We've become too dependent on our technology. If humans can train their bodies to be weapons, perhaps we can learn something from them. Even if we never match their flexibility or technique, understanding their methods might help us better integrate our forces." Tamora's scaled face creased into what might have been a smile. "I'll arrange an introduction with their training officers. Though I should warn you, humans believe in learning through practice. It will be physically demanding." "Good," Zixter replied, watching as Helen demonstrated a technique to a group of attentive human trainees. "Perhaps it's time the Coalition remembered that before we conquered the stars with technology, we all had to learn to survive with nothing but our bodies and our will." As the observers filed out of the observation deck, they left behind a new understanding. Humanity hadn't brought superior weapons to the Galactic Coalition. They'd brought something far more fundamental, the reminder that the most versatile weapon any species possessed was themselves. If only they took the time to master it. On the training floor below, unaware of the discussion they'd inspired, Helen and Derek continued their eternal dance of strike and counter, attack and defense, embodying thousands of years of human martial tradition in every movement. They were soldiers of an advanced civilization, armed with the most ancient weapon of all, the trained human body, and the indomitable will that drove it.